happy.
It's a mutual thing, man.
Now, I don't even know where to start because you've seen the highs, and then you say, well, Kwasi, I was still alive, but thanks to my wife and my children and my family, because I was very low because this thing called cancer got me. Do you want us to start on that low end?
Oh, yeah.
I want us to end on a very happy end.
Yeah.
Tell me about
that.
Yeah.
I did my PSA, which I'm encouraging all men to regularly check their PSA. I think the full thing is prostate-specific antigens.
Yeah.
And it measures the amount of growth you have in your, what do you call that word? It's not kidney. It's not kidney. It's, I can't believe you said There's a word. It starts with G. I'll remember.
Yeah.
You know. So I did the check, and the guy told me that my PSA is a bit high.
Was this here in Ghana at the time?
Yeah, this was here in Ghana. And the guy said the PSA is a bit high, so he was concerned. You know, and he says because it's so high, he needs to do further test, and I think that was called the biopsy.
Yeah.
You know. But incidentally, just around the time he was to do the biopsy, I traveled to the U.S. for my daughter's graduation, and she's in medical school. She had finished medical school.
What's her name?
Yeah, Nana. Yeah, you call it Naya. Nana Misa.
Naya, that's right.
Naya. Naya had graduated medical school, so I just went for the graduation. So because she was in the system, she
Which
connected
university
me.
was this?
This was Washington.
I'll test your memory.
I know. Opportunity, rigorous test. Washington University.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Washington. Yeah. You know, and so basically, they confirmed that the PSA was high. So they did the biopsy, and when the biopsy came back, the doctor, I think it was what do you call that thing? The conference call. The doctor, my wife, my kids, you know, we're all together when we talked to the doctor.
You chose to do it with the family. You chose to do that call with the family instead of doing it alone.
Yes. The doctor said he was calling the results.
Okay.
So the whole family came to support, you know, and the results were, you know, heartbreaking. It says, yeah, your PSA is very high, and yes, you do have cancer.
Did they explain what exactly causes it?
The prostate cancer can be caused by many things. There's no one specific thing. For me personally, it runs in my family. You know, I don't know if my dad had it, my eldest brother died of it. And, you know, so it means that it was in the family. There are so many causes, but mine particularly, and because they knew that my eldest brother had died of the prostate cancer, they thought it was an emergency. They had to do work really well and right away.
And what exactly is the work they did? What, were you on some special medication? Were you
They said I had to do surgery.
Food? Surgery?
Yeah. I had to do surgery because the cancer can metastasize. I think that's the word, which means it can grow and affect other areas. Metastasize, you know.
That's right.
So they had to, he said, look, we have like 2 months to quickly get this, otherwise it can go into other parts. But to be sure that hadn't crept into other parts, I did further tests. I did a PET scan to check the bone. I did MRI to check other features. I did about 4 or 5 different tests.
All at which hospital?
This was the University of California Hospital at San Francisco.
Oh, you flew out?
I was out.
I don't know.
When the doctor told me I was here. But when I went there, and my daughter referred me to somebody, and they found that out, it was like, you know, we don't have a luxury of saying we are waiting for you to go to Ghana. You know, was it really that quick? Yeah. So I had to go through the radical protectomy. I think that's what they call it, protectomy, to remove, you know, and they did that before I came to Ghana. And when I came to Ghana, and I was doing my PhD.
So what did they remove? A tumor? What exactly did they remove?
No, they removed. I can't. This is the word I'm trying to remember. That it's part of your glands. Prostate gland. Can you imagine? Prostate gland.
Of course.
Old age can be that thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they removed my prostate glands. both of them, you know. So after the surgery, then, of course, I went through a whole bit to recoup and everything. And then finally came to Ghana, but they advised me to keep testing, you know. So I did a PSA, and they realized that it seemed to be rising again. So they said, there's still some work to be done, you know. And incidentally, I had a visit that was coming up on the prostate test.
Yeah.
So I went back
To the U.S.
to the U.S., and they discovered that, yeah, there was some growth, cancerous growth. So I was put on 33 episodes of radiation. Yeah, 33 episodes of radiation that affected the bone density of my legs, and it was really something else, you know.
Is it painful?
And yeah,
Is
so
radiation pain?
after the radiation,
I want to know, is radiation itself painful?
no. The radiation was more like an X-ray. You know, they just had me lying down, and they had all these machines going around my groin, circulating, dancing, doing all kinds of things. You know, you don't feel anything. The radiation was just like X-ray.
Okay.
You know, and it's quite different from. There's one that you do that you lose your hair called. Is it cool? Radiotherapy.
Radiotherapy.
Yeah, that one, you know, the radiation, just, you know, machines, just like X-ray. So I went through 33 episodes of that. It was after that, and 3 months after that, that I did my
between
test.
each episode?
Sorry?
Every 2 weeks?
There are 33 episodes every day.
Whoa.
Every day. I had to go every morning. I had to report.
For about how many minutes?
About 15 minutes daily. They gave me my weekends off. But Monday to Friday, I went through my...
And you would meet other people when you were going to the oncology department to do yours? And you would see older people as well as younger people?
Yes.
How young?
Yes.
The younger ones?
Oh, the youngest I probably saw must have been in their 30s, you know.
So cancer can get anybody at any age?
Yes. We're all at risk. And especially with prostate cancer, you know, if it's in the family, yeah, you have to check and check, you know. So right now, of course, I'm making sure that my sons are doing their checkups and everything, because I have it and my brother had it. So definitely it's in the family.
You said I have it.
No, I had it. Sorry. I had it. So what no I can't say no. No, because my last test, I sent them the results and they said we can officially say that there are no traces of cancer.
Wow.
You are cancer free.
Wow. And you made an announcement on that?
Yeah, I think I've announced it 1, 2, 3 on some occasions. I've announced that I've been through it and I'm cancer free. And advise men, please
go and check.
Take your checkup seriously. And now we have some great radiologists in Ghana. Honestly,
yeah.
I went to there's a Center of Excellence at Kolebu, and they have a prostate cancer center of excellence. And one doctor there, Dr. Siedu, and others there. And the equipment that they have there, I was shocked.
And there's Dr. Na Doko Aite.
Yes.
Another very, very good one.
Yes.
She's actually been on this program.
Oh, she has?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So basically, men, please check your PSA and make sure you have a good urologist. There are fantastic urologists in Ghana who will advise you and sit down with you and take you through it in case your PSA escalates and you have to have the surgery. Your urologist will advise you.
And when men are thinking of the election to go and have the surgery, from what you have learned going through this, are people concerned when they are making this election to go for the surgery about the erection?
So concerned. You know, that's a man's key problem, you know, so after the...
Now, what will marry the erection? What will marry with the erection here, dear? What will marry with the erection here? Who have 5 children? With the erection here, dear? Now, I didn't know.
Here, my mom. Oh, me personally.
What would they do?
What would they do? Hey, Master. Oh, yeah, Mark can't give me show number and some
Old age is a B with an H.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, but these are things that a general concern to Mema. And yes, I'm a from.
And you consent to Mba and now consent to Mema.
I think a member.
Samum.
Well, of course, Emma play a strong role. But the meeting me a KKD. Science acquitry is amazing. That normally after the surgery, you are rendered practically, your friend is an NPA, non-performing asset. Otherwise rendered a non-performing asset. But because thanks to science,
toothless bulldog.
Thanks to science, thanks to medicine, they are able to give you teeth.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
People who are going through that, you check out and find Dr. Yegbe or Health Link. Wait a moment, big promo.
Can I remember people?
Oh, yeah, remember, I'm going to Dr. Yegbe or Health Link, you know. They have medicine now, and science can help you restore certain inefficiencies, if you will, you know. But the important thing is this, KKD, to be cancer-free, I think that's the utmost, you know.
But, you know, it's the utmost only when you've had it. Because those who are not ill do not recognize what treasure they have in our health.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It is only when you get ill.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, I have this business deal, I have to go for this meeting. And all of a sudden, your only focus is to be well.
Yes. It is so true, you know. Because when I had to do the surgery and I was realizing how much time off I have to take, that was my concern, you know. And my mama said, they didn't how. You know, so what if you, look, if you die now, the work will go on. Nothing stops.
And how can you say?
Nothing stops. Maybe a little inconvenience here and there, but work goes on.
Maybe a little less talent here and there.
Maybe.
You know,
maybe, you know.
Now you are irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Irreplaceable.
So, but at the end of the day, my eldest brother died with prostate cancer, and I saw what he went through. I don't wish that on anybody. You know, it's very, very painful. So all the maybe discomforts that you go through, the biopsies and things like that you go through that are uncomfortable, trust me, it is nothing compared to the discomfort of having cancer.
And in the time of your recuperation, you couldn't move around much, could you?
I couldn't move around much, but I was, you know, I was taking constant walks, you know. I was taking constant walks. I was doing my show from Saturday. Memory is serious. Podcast. You know how you do the phone? Yeah, via podcast. You know, I'll call them, put them online, and then do my shows, do my interviews. So many people didn't know.
They didn't need to know.
They didn't need to know.
They didn't need to know. We needed you back and well.
Thank you.
And we're so happy to see you.
And I'm back and well.
And you know,
Thank
I couldn't help but even say it in the promo. That's now he's cancer-free after 10 years of therapy. 10 years, Anna, 8 years. I didn't know, sir. You've been away for 10 years.
Yeah, from the stage.
10, of course.
Yeah.
Because whilst we love watching you on television, it's on the stage that we really catch your vibe.
Yeah.
And you know, they say your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah.
And the tribe comes there to see you live on stage.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Now, when we come back, there's more with this great man, a satirist and a comedian, but more importantly, a man who takes the issues of society and mirrors them back to us that we may think and do better. KSM is my special guest on Master of the Game right after this.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernat Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernat, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernat Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303 966085 or 055 278 4097. Think wood, think Fernat.
Master of the Game, only on CTV, Ghana's #1. A friend asked me the other day, Kwasi, why do you keep saying CTV? Tell us what the C stands for. The C actually stands for class. Class TV. But now we will start using it, not immediately. We want to create a few more programs, fill more of our airtime so we can play less of the imports and play more of our original programming. Then we will earn the right to call ourselves Class TV. With me is a man of class and style, more importantly, a man of eloquence and excellence, my dear brother, KSM.
You're the man.
You have written 15, staged all these at the National Theatre. How do you come about the ideas for writing your content?
Basically, I look at society, you know. Can I start with the very, very first one, for example?
No, hold on. I want to talk about Ghana. We'll go back to the first one.
No,
yeah, you're going money a beach.
Matthias here. You know, anything that can trigger me thinking, you know, for example, how do we relate to the politics? How has colonialism affected us? Anything at all can be a subject matter. So once it interests me, then I find a way to, how can I put this on stage using comedy, using satire, to bring the message out. Whatever message I've decided to bring out, I think the message sinks faster when I tell it satirically or I do it in a form of comedy. So it's just finding out what's happening, you know.
All around us.
And
are some subjects more important to you than others?
Not really. For example, the second one I did at the National Theatre was called Politically Incorrect. And this was right after the election that brought His Excellency Kufuor into power. And JJ went out, you know. So it was right after that I did Politically Incorrect. Just to look at the politics in Ghana, to look at the election, to look at the results. And there was so much fear in Ghana then, I remember. Will JJ leave office? Will he stay in office? And people were worried about what will happen to Ghana if he decides he won't leave. There were a whole lot of ups and downs regarding that election. So I put it all together and I called it Politically Incorrect and did the show, you know.
But isn't it even farcical that people were thinking, will he leave power? Don't we understand that anybody that we elect into a position of authority does not own the country, and that the people are the one that grants them the favor to serve us?
I think, number one, I don't think we really understand that. And number two, because he had come from a military background. He was in the PNDC, he was in AFRC, military, and then that metamorphosed into PNDC, and that became the NDC. So we had that military thing was there. So I think that was what people were worried about. And so will he go away? They were not thinking that, no, the Constitution says go. They're thinking, yeah, that's what the Constitution says, but will he go? So there was a lot of that. You know, I remember those days, they were always showing how some countries have ended up in wars and everything, praying that we should have a peaceful election and all of that. So I decided to put that into one big play called Politically Incorrect. And I think to date, when it comes to political satire, Politically Incorrect sits on top of everything I've written.
I recall when I was at GBC back then. There was one day when I asked my dear big brother, Richard Cote. Richard Cote was one of our best news readers. He later left for the Voice of America. I asked him, why does every news bulletin in Ghana start with the chairman of the PNDC You know?
Yeah.
And he looked at me quizzically.
Yeah.
And I said,
Yeah.
is it that we cannot write, or is it that we do not know what news is? Because nearly every news bulletin in a certain era, almost an 8-year window, and then later changed into, you know, the chairman of the PNDC or the chairman of the AFRC. Why were we doing that to ourselves as trained communicators?
And it went beyond that, you know. Well, let's say that the PNDC and the AFRC, those were military, so maybe we were afraid of the soldiers. But it wasn't that. It was the fact that the way we treat chieftaincy is the way we treat our presidency and people of power. To date, KKD. If any minister is talking and the president has instructed that we do this, so don't you think anything, and it goes way back from as far back as I remember, J. Kufuor time to Nanadro time to Mills, every as the president has said, as a president.
Is it an assumption that once you're made a president, you become the bastion of wisdom in the country?
That's the assumption. Oh, I don't know whether they want to please the president, but to date, you watch. No minister will take credit for anything. Maybe they've come up with some amazing developments in their sector, but trust me, when they're talking to it, as you know, our president has always been. You know, the chairman, I continue, you know, to date.
I have a chief friend who says, I am sure I'm GMF, and I'm saying GMF and switch as Jimmy for.
I don't know whether that's a culture. Who say, yeah, culture. You are very traditional, so you understand.
Exactly.
Nana, you know. So that's how we see our president as our Nana. And all the ministers are in Kwaku said, you know.
Do you know how the Chi people say the vice president?
Okay.
Yes, you're my penny. Are you serious? What is that?
So that's, I think it's I don't know, it's a cultural or a traditional, but the reverence we have for the presidents, no any there's no minister that I know that will boldly say, this is what I've been able to do in my sector.
Let me take your commentary on this. I stated on a television program once that ye maame mo ne ye papa mo ne ye wofa mo ne ye soa mo ne ye nananom mo ene ye kuro mu hene mo ene mpanyimfo a sabe wo mu sin ye panyi a wo mabobra panti ye kukuru wo mu aka ye mpanyimfo ho na mo de mo ye asoafo na nea oye panyi pa wa asoafo no mo de frɛ no ɔman asoafo panyi enso ye yi asoafo ne fim ene aye no ɔman penyin enti yenhu se oye yasoafo se oba besom ye enti ye se ono so ye ohene na ye de yasase ene ye sika nyina hye ne nsa so se hwesoma ye nyinara. What's your commentary on this?
That is absolutely true. You know, I mean the idea of in a traditional sense, nana, yes, nana. I know somebody who told me, hey, yes, nana, yes, no. And see how when we're taking an oath for the to nanano,
yeah,
sa no po, a yo, or debe mo, whatever it is, nana, I'm at your beck and call. So that's what we have sort of transposed to the presidency. Yes, so we forget that they are there to serve. Yes.
And yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
sir. Well, pardon, it's part of our culture.
Politically correct too, incorrect too is due.
Yeah. Oh, too is due.
If you
Two's due.
It's a
Two's due.
no, in the last 8 years, it was on steroids.
Those are steroids.
It was on steroids.
Yeah, yeah. Political credit is overdue, honestly.
And I'm going to pose this to you because in every nation, I mean, you have the people who focus on wealth creation and investments. You have your wealth managers, you have your fund managers, you have your bankers, you have your financial whiz kids, and then you have the people who actually innovate and create products which will sell to bring money to the country. And then you have the thinkers, the thought leaders, and the artists. And whenever there's a crisis, in spite of all these people who I mentioned earlier, everybody falls back to the thinkers, the thought leaders, and the artists. That is when they start looking for the philosophers. That is when they start looking for the creatives like yourselves for your commentary. In America recently, people saying, oh, we are not hearing from the performing artists, we are not hearing from the artists. Why? Oh, whenever there's a crisis, all of a sudden you realize they are the ones who should be speaking. So I'm asking you directly, what are the real problems of Ghana?
I think the biggest problem we have is that we have not really been able to throw off the yoke of whatever we went through as a colonized people. I mean, we can take it that our generation, we are like a step away from those who are directly under colonialism. But certain things came with colonialism that have been planted in us that we are still dealing with. And I think that's the biggest problem we have as Africans.
Such as?
You know, we are not able to prioritize and take the decisions that will be relevant to us. It's more what is relevant in other spheres and not applicable to us. Like I say all the time, if we are really going to do a rigorous resetting of Ghana educational system,
You have to do an overhaul.
Complete overhaul. You know, and as I don't know who it was that said that fighting for political independence is doable. You can do it within a certain number of years. But to fight to liberate your mind from colonial from the colonial dependence to colonial independence, that takes centuries.
Those are in the words of Bob Marley. You know the song.
That was
emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
Yeah.
None but our own selves can free our minds.
Thank you. I have no fear for blah blah blah.
None of them can
So that's
stop at the
it. Oh, like joke, and we don't talk about that anymore. It's like, now let's move on and talk about things. But the critical things of our mindset is not part of the debate anymore.
But even if we were to say just aping the colonialists came with an agenda to take our resources to build their nations. We have the resources. Why can't we use those resources to build our nation?
Still the colonial thinkers, we take the resources and give it back to them. So that's the problem.
But it's not the majority of us doing that. It's just a small minority.
It's the, should we call it the political class? Those are the decision makers. They say those who really want to change things, those who want to make a difference, they don't have the power. And those who have the power have no desire to make that change. So we are stuck. You know, so the bulk of the people may be thinking a certain way or may be wanting something, but the decision makers have their mind set somewhere else.
If you were to sit with 4 of our members of parliament, because what people forget is members of parliament do not make roads. They don't build hospitals. Their main duty is to make the laws of the land and to hold the executive accountable on the national purse. If you were to speak to 4 of those who can make a change, what would you tell them?
I think the first thing I'll let them all understand is this. My brother, we are all Ghanaians. We have all come from the same pool of people. You know, so the ministers, the executives, whoever it is, you know, we came from the same pool of people. So we are not any different. You know, the fact that somebody is a minister does not make him different from somebody who is not a minister. Maybe difference in terms of the status. But in terms of thinking, they are probably all still at the same, you know. So I think the first thing I tell them is to become aware that the environment that they have come from, or the environment that they have come out of, is a very, unfortunately, negatively charged environment.
And volatile too.
Very volatile, yeah. And so that's their mindset. So there's no strategic thing they can do to benefit the community they have come out of if they think like them. So first and foremost, they must start thinking differently. And that takes a conscious effort to think differently. They must start understanding what are the results when you have a positive energy and direction, and what are the results if you leave everything to chance, you know. So I think that's the first thing. I'll let any group of people I'm talking to understand that the body of people you have come from, they are dull, they are negative, mostly they take advantage of each other. All the negative things that unfortunately we are stuck with, you have come from there. Why do you think you're different? You're not. You're one of them. So if you want to be different, then start thinking, what am I going to do that will set me apart from this trajectory that we are going on?
Well, then maybe what they are doing to set themselves apart is to plunder as much as they can for themselves and their children.
But they're not setting us apart. They are following the routine that they know, the routine that they understand. You know? So people who are having positions, I know I won't mention the position that the guy got in, but he was placed somewhere in the system. Yeah. You know, and he says his friends him say, "Now has kawa. Now buy you know the amount. How be get?"
Who said that to him?
I can't say it on there. And I won't tell you because you come and say it on there. Before be NCO. Maybe I go date. We patch out, me protect it. I'm you don't proud meaning sir. Me come at you watch of a babaka. You know what case I was talking about? But I love it. I wish I could do that too. I wish, but to me, yeah. And you always say his friends with and I will hide Wako tonight. So that is the thought. That is the thing that once power be about some dear DB. Whoa. Now the question will be nyambiedi.
It's in your one more chrono crowd. The bush for bay no.
Now when you crash with Nicky, you will see Abraham and say, "Oh, you know." So this is the big problem that we're dealing with. It's a mindset thing. It's a values thing that we have lost. And I don't know how we get it back.
Is there any place in Africa where they are getting it right? Because, you know, when I speak to my friends outside, you know,
yes.
When I speak to my friends outside Ghana, you're like, Ghana is so blessed.
Yes.
Ghana has so many resources. The only thing lacking is leadership and mental resources.
Thank you.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, yeah, but you are here. You should be back home in Ghana. And I'm like, but if you go back home in Ghana and you are honest, there's a great likelihood you will not be in any good place for long.
Yeah.
Where in Africa are they getting it right?
I mean, call Rwanda, but I hear they're getting it right. From what I'm reading and from people who have gone there and come back, a friend of mine went there, he was just taking pictures of the case, and I can't believe how clean this place is. Not a litter anywhere on the floor. This is in Rwanda, only Africans. And they have come from a very serious...
People who are killing themselves nearly 20 years ago.
Leadership and direction, you know. So it is possible. Except we just get soaked into the status quo. Yeah, see, maybe the status quo paralysis.
Hey, my driver was telling me something about him stopping to tell a lady, why are you throwing this thing here? And the lady says, wait, now who be that?
Thank you. Take it. Now we feel then to know. Now, that's us. You know? So unless we can get to the core of that problem.
This is a country with thinkers like Bright Simmons, Sang Mudele, Kofi Bensil, P.V. Obeng, who's dead and gone, Eddie Garber, Sam Jonah, Ishmael Yamson, with luminaries like this amongst us. Openyin Kojochre. How can we have all these people amongst us and still be happy to say Sanya?
It's because those amongst us who you have named, and it's sad you have named them, because they are nameable. There are not so many of them that I can't even count them. There are few. If I and you sit down, give us a couple of hours, we can name the thinkers who have the ability to go in the right direction. And that's the problem, the fact that we can name them. Hopefully we get to a point where there are so many that you don't have to name single individuals, you know. But I don't think there's a critical mass of thinkers yet in Ghana. Unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of misthinking and unthinking and miseducation.
And book quoting.
Yes, book quoting.
Book quoting, yeah,
yes. Yes. Book. Book. And we believe that everything, just as has been expressed in the book, we are not able to say, okay, this is what I've studied. This is my doctorate, my master's, whatever I've gone to study. How do I make it relevant to my society? How do I make it applicable? You may be quoting some of the great philosophers and thinkers who were thinking in Europe and whatever. What about Ghana? This is the Ghanaian society. This is what we are confronted in Ghana. Maybe out of what you have studied, you can somehow make it relevant and applicable to the Ghana situation. But no, those who have the book, they want to take that same book and apply it. Not knowing that what applies. I've been for from how. Now, no more can you and find someone. Now I tried another. Say I'm fat. Sometimes I say, this thing has there are simple things that we should know and understand. But Bronisi be the critical thinking.
That's right.
Because of
I'm saying Michelle that may cost kakra hama me work as well. And manipa no be kasai about critical thinking. Me catch will be as a one kase bisa on say. Nia aketesi be chire ye yenka critical thinking we bi ana se we nemu keke.
Thank you. That's not critical thinking. Sani akano. Sani mission book mu, sani kan o Bible mu, sani kan o Quran mu, sani kan o hane. So, why would you want? Yeah, Bible can say, Quran can say, we can say, but why would you want a brabona with him no? Does it apply? And I say, debut a Bible say, and I couldn't say,
I suffer say me no more. And also,
I suffer some no oil. Now, suffer beton cocoa. Say, cocoa no dear would tough to start for healing powers. And he cake the image will say, so for us on the buyer no cocoa. What do you cocoa? Also, for say, why ye will worth now, the Fabia Mania may worth now heaven. So for us to easily gone. Also, quite so hold the beer.
It's like going, baby, an airfield, Mr. Many mention me of your dollars.
Oh, I think, your problem was soon. You know, soon.
And the bigger the problem, the more the need for comedy and satire.
Yeah. Very much. Very, very much. You know? Because if you have a seminal so much, but when you're being honest or the concert, no, I cannot the same nada from what's your say? That's why I'm Paul. What's your say? What's your kind of young Paul? Barbary. Oh, not say young Paul. And the effect that you get from comedy, no, because you're not kind of because of our saying so. Bobby the choir concert no kind of assembly account. But what can do see what can
and I think that was your story when you came on Vibe. If sir, if you're British by nature, say, mean to him was a why flabbergasted.
Yes.
You just looked around and you're like, these are my people. What's going wrong? I used to listen to you. Yeah. And I remember telling the owner of Vibe at the time, my cook, that Kwaku Sintim-Misa is bigger than the station. Because you alone had such a big audience. And then after your show, we would go back to regular programming because it was for a hip, upwardly mobile crowd. But you got the minds of the leaders, the achievers. You captured them all. But then you realize, which are you in few? And yes, I will try be before fraud. And when we come back, we'll be talking about that right here on Master of the Game with KSM, Mr. Kwaku Sintim-Misa, the man who calls people to action by first making them laugh and then making them reflecting before they get up and do what is needful. Right after this.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernart Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernart, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernart Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303 966085 or 055 278 4097. Think wood, think Fernart.
Oh my, it's just a delight sitting with my dear brother Kwaku Sintim-Misa. In fact, I see a from Ambassador Kwaku Sintim-Misa.
What do you ambassador we are so now? Okay, what will come there out there? Who can do? I want me tell what where the move find you. Me tell what one only key a be a backward sem. See, you could show him. No, I'm not saying this because no. I'm saying, wow, the level of intelligence. I mean, and the fact that you to me break it down. She and kind of the dead. Yes, now we are more ambassador now. Becoming me
But you know, my admiration for you is just it's endless. Kwaku, you have written your name on the sands of time. The plays you have staged here in Ghana and your conversations on television, even when you are the one doing the interviewing, the way you ask your questions, the way you interject, the way you let humor always come through, it's just simply admirable. And like the young people say, the Gen Z say, we got to give you your flowers. You know, and flowers is So, America, let's talk about what inspired you to go and do this one-man play off Broadway at the Mesa Theater in New York?
Okay. Well, me American for my undergraduate, and I studied theater arts, you know, with an emphasis on script writing and directing, you know. So I studied it, you know. And even before I got to America, way before I got to America, I'm satisfied. I did a one-man show back in the day. We didn't have the National Theatre. We had the Arts Council of Ghana, Arts Center.
Arts Center.
I did a one-man show there in 1975 or 6.
Master, you are from far.
You see what you called Mellow Madness.
Mellow Madness.
Me Ghana 75, 76, you know, and that Blue Ghana. I said, hey, one-man show. You know, and it was 2 hours long. That was that time. Now me a branch. Now more energy. No.
Fantastic.
But imagine 6 to 2 hours.
Now still energy no.
Still, well.
Still energy no.
You know, so I think that's when it said. So when I went to the States, and
but I also heard from a little birdie say you're one of the pioneers of the National Film and Television Institute.
Yeah.
NAFTI.
NAFTI. Yeah.
Now the you know could be one.
We read 6th form, no. And I just wanted to go into film.
6th form in school now going.
Because 6th form or prempe.
Because
from one or that year.
That's how we finish school. We not that year. Not that year.
My foundation was at that year. Now, yeah, man, it was a sad time now. I am moderator of the Presbyterian Church.
Yeah.
Now, me back in the day near common trans. I think right after common trans, when I gained admission, you'd be surprised where I gained admission to. In France,
oh, the school of
Fire. That was my first choice. You know, but at that time, no, that was the first time I got my sickle cell crisis attack. We didn't know I was even sickle cell. So that was when they realized, hey, he has sickle cell. So the thing was that we can't let him go to Cape Coast or any place for.
Keep you close.
Keep him close. So at that time, my father was the moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana.
Big man.
Big man. So he picked up the phone and he called the.
Saturday not so for the concert anymore.
Imagine
a whole TV program.
Yeah, a whole TV program. You know. So he called Kyei Darkwah, who was the headmaster of Presec
at the time
in 1970.
Said the Obama instruction keke. Say school in media.
I say, oh, me buy na say ni na e person watch and cranty person ko bet me about Presec. Yeah. Moderator na afre.
It's you know it's different protocol.
No protocol. Exactly acho. I admit me a protocol, my benefit depend. I said it on there. Yeah, no, yeah.
They be away a crisis situation because you are
of course. Thank you. You know, that I say, oh, of course, you know. That's why I went to Form 1.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's why I went to Form 1, 1970. 71, I can make here, no. I'm more Presec.
And also, you were this erudite already?
No.
No?
I'm in Pekasa.
Wow.
Whoa. Me? Oh, I'm in Pekasa. It's a very quiet person.
Wow.
Yeah. Even now, okay, you'll be surprised, you know, that when people see me at the party, hey, Case, my boy, tell the life of the party, they get so shocked. My wife, they behind my wife say, oh, yeah, now we are boring. That's why I talk so much, because I'm Kasa. Also, to din.
Baby, I'm from Madame Makacha. When you're boring, what Kasa Jiska?
Thank you. Thank you. You know. So anyway, so I went to Presec, you know, and then after 1 year there, I decided, so I wanted to go back to further away. And I'm feeling my fine. And so I made a corporate and if you could be said,
that's another day. Not on Suku Kumasi and no one.
No Accra.
Okay.
No Accra. But also know that he was the chaplain for Prempeh College. Yeah, we were Prempeh College.
Okay.
Yeah, women, no, I'm a patcher, they were Prempeh College. He was a chaplain, and I think he was teaching religious knowledge or English or something. You know, so he also had ties with the Prempeh College. So after Presec, when I felt like I need to travel, no, and somehow I didn't want to go back to Mfantsipim, you know, so there again, protocol. Of TA or sign, you know, say how far? How far? So I went to Prempeh College from 2.
It's an hour what already and the protocol.
Not what to me, protocol. We are lawyers who can't.
Baby, some of the baby corruption will be America.
Right, okay, how did I want to me, mum?
Sir, but not sickle cell to the whole.
Oh yes, sickle cell.
Oh yes, now hunto. He said, "Down all the
thank you. I like this guy. I like this guy.
And also, it's like a grey area.
That's good. I still me sickle cell SC, which is like quite a severe kind, you know. Yeah. So anyway, that's why I went there. But I mean, I forgot where the conversation started.
It's a no call hono. You perceive who send you out the copy NAFTI.
Until me year 6 form of Promper College, you know.
Yeah.
Now I think I don't remember what I wanted to do in Legon, but menya, whatever
What
it is
did
I
you
wanted
really
to
want to
do.
go and
Minkai was a number Minkai. But at the same time, know that NAFTI was just coming up, they were advertising, Selmoji interviews, and say, oh wow, I even love this, you know. So I applied to go to NAFTI, and I got in.
Fantastic.
And then your protocol, interviews, interviews, tests, and so many things. And some of my classmates were the late Charles Buckner.
Oh yeah.
You know, Haruna Ta.
Oh, Haruna. Interesting.
We are all founders. Pioneers, senior founders.
And then you'll be the ambassador. So Haruna could be ambassador. Haruna could be ambassador.
We Pagano, me to go to baby. We come try me ding to say my brother. Oh,
baby, but when say we are Ghana, ni your ambassador. Baby, how you want to hire Ghana?
And where Ghana, dear, but what Ghana now here? Iceland. Yeah.
So you go to NAFTI. What did you study at NAFTI?
Film production. NAFTI was about film production, and so I studied the basics of film production, the basics of editing, sound. They teach you all the areas of film.
And at the time, were people majoring? Because these days people can major in producing and directing. They can major in editing.
Yeah, you major. For the first 2 years, they teach you everything, and then you major.
Okay.
And I think eventually, if I sit in NAFTI there, I was going to major in, But when I did my one-man play on
Mellow Madness. Were you in NAFTI at the time?
Just before I entered NAFTI.
You did that before you entered NAFTI?
Yeah.
Also, you knew that you wanted to be in the arts?
Yes. Before I entered NAFTI, I did that, And what pushed me to go to the U.S., was, I think, July 6th is American Independence Day or something. There was this guy called Richard Overteff.
July 4th, yeah.
Yeah, July 4th, I'm sorry. Richard Overteff was the cultural attaché for the U.S. Embassy.
Yep.
So he actually, I don't know how he saw Mellow Madness, but he invited me to come and perform Mellow Madness at the USIS Information Service.
Look, we have a similar story.
Oh, really?
You went to NAFTI, I went to GIJ.
Okay.
Somebody at the USIS saw you and was impressed and wanted you to come and perform there.
Yes.
Somebody at the USIS used to listen to me every day, and that is how I became the first Ghanaian, I think, to go on the Young African Leaders Project in the United States of America. Wow. So, and then I went and did my master's in film and television. And then you went to America to do what?
I went to America to do film and television at NYU. Before then I did theater arts. Wow. Wow.
No wonder we're where we are today.
Yeah.
We are the curators of culture.
We are.
And we must accept that responsibility and help to shape the younger ones, even the older ones who don't have as much training in this field of endeavor. Wow.
So anyway, so I performed at USIS, and the guy was so impressed with me, and he started encouraging me, why don't you go to the US and study theater, where it's known for science. So he was that guy that was recommending something called theater and all that.
Almost say US he say the role of the media in the US. I me bana nyese me an ya tete me say me Ghana ni am Ghana mamre esi ya tete me fi mo from me say me bedi hene a kan ba kan madani America ni. Seriously.
Oh yeah.
See, whatever they see, that they can see a future of or for in every culture, they draw closer to theirs because they are attracted to excellence.
That's right.
That's what it is.
That's right. They are attracted to excellence. Very, very, very true.
And you were excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think you asked me the show that I did there, and I'm saying Mr. Ghana.
Yep.
And then that's how I ended up there. So when I got there, one of my first experiences as a black person studying in America was that it was the dynamics were very, very interesting.
Were they nuanced or were they blatant?
Some of them were quite blatant.
Like?
Like I could tell that I went to a college called Trinity College, and yes, seminary, but it was a college called Trinity. I could tell that the white folks, the structure there, you know, the treatment of Africans from Africa was very different from the African Americans and our Black Americans there.
They treated us better than the Black Americans there.
Yes. You know, we were sort of like, the treatment was different.
So we were kind
You
of
know,
royalty.
so unfortunately for some of us Ghanaians, it was like a source of pride for some, you know. But I was very worried about that.
Sadness, not pride.
Yes. You know, I was very worried about that. So that drew me closer to the Black community there. And as a matter of fact, I became the first African to head the Black student group. We called it the TCB, Trinity Coalition of Blacks. When the first African, I'm a year president of the TCB because of how my relationship with them, you know. But anyway, moving on. So after looking at all these things, you know, then I wrote a play called Thoughts of a Confused Black Man.
Which black man were you modeling this play on? Was it the Black American or the Black African?
Both.
But they can't.
What I was saying was that the black man in Africa had grown up under colonialism and had certain habits, you know. And the black man in America, or black person in America, had grown up under racism. And so they also had certain habits. So what is it about colonialism and racism and making black people behave a certain way? That's what the whole play was
And in
about.
fact, before racism, slavery.
Slavery. Thank you. You know. So I did a show called Thoughts of a Confused Black Man.
Give me the synopsis of this show. Tell us about it. Break it down. As a curator of culture, as somebody who works in media and
Thoughts of a
communications.
Confused Black Man is an African character who has gone to America to study, you know, and realizing that what he was going through as an African in America had some similarities to the Africans that grew up in America. You know, but I'm glad you said slavery. But there was something that was connecting the African from Africa and the African America. And that was the slavery experience.
Transportation of humans as though they were goods.
Yeah. Yeah.
And use of humans as though they were chattel.
Thank you.
Well, it's sad.
So we ended up like this. So that's
like
what I did a show on. Comedy called Thoughts of a Confused Black Man. And it just took off. It was amazing.
Tell me about the audience.
The audience, I did the first show in the theater on 23rd Street in New York. And the best way I can describe that theater was near dingy. Dingy bar is what? Dingy is what? So dilapidated, but that's what I could afford.
I say, moist.
Yes.
I know that kind of thing.
That's what I could afford. Until me call Civil Crime Renty Theater, no. Until when I'm here, my first performance of Thoughts of a Confused Black Man, I didn't have money to hire a light, sound, none of that, you know. So the lighting system in the theater was arranged that I brought my electrician there who could rewire certain things. So on the stage on the floor, I die in the show, you know. So as the show is introduced, which I had recorded something, I would turn on the lights backstage. Me and I saw my light too. So when I turn on the lights,
America Afro be so chanka.
Aye, to me turn on light, na me ba na ye na ma ba me show we are. Something happens in the show, me woo. And I had planned to die at the point where somebody had done the connection for me, where I could turn the light off.
Low budget,
low budget is what? Low budget is what? So when I do my show and they applaud and the long and that's, you know, I died in jail. So when I fall down and die, you know, I reach for the light, you know, my demo, my dear, cool. No applause.
Oh yeah,
Maza. But let me tell you,
one fantastic ingenuity.
Pardon?
Ingenuity.
Oh, here, boy, ingenuity. Me and my son, me and my life. Let me tell you the magic of this thing. There was one day, it was snowing like crazy. You put 2 penny by. The place doesn't seat much. I think it would take about 150 or something. 2 people came because of the snow. And you know our business.
You have to perform.
The show must
You
go
have
on.
to perform.
Yes. So backstage, the guy came to me and said, Charlie, you put 2 penny by you, but see. So, but let me tell you, KKD, these 2 people that were in the audience, I went out there and I was just picturing like the whole full place. I did it. They were enjoying, they were laughing, they were applauding.
I hope one was a writer. I hope one was a writer.
Oh.
Okay, yo.
Massa, you are applauding. I even forgot they were just 2 people. Their reaction was so vibrant. And so I performed for the 2 people. So when I finished and I took a bow, they were giving me a standing ovation. I went backstage. Then the guy that was helping me came and said, Charlie, the guy wants to see you. And or the card, the name of the card was Anthony Andrisakis. This was a guru in entertainment back then.
Whoa, even better than a writer.
Yes! This was a guru. He had put plays on platforms. You see, Anthony Andrisakis, one of the 2. So I went up and I met with him. He hugged me and he said that was a great show. He loved, he enjoyed it, blah, blah, blah. I should take his card and call him. So he was the one that moved the play from the dingy theater
to Mesa Theater.
To Mesa.
Wow. Now, I've got to talk to the young people about this. Never take any performance for granted.
Thank you.
You know, in show business, we say you're only as good as your last 2 performances. Whatever performance you accept to do, whether you're paid in full or not paid at all, give it your best. You never know who's watching.
Thank you. You never know who's watching. Tony Andrisakis. So he took the show and did his, and no.
So he now became your executive producer.
Yes. And he took the show to the Mesa Theater, which is considered an off-Broadway theater.
Yeah, but of course a vibrant one.
Very vibrant. And that's where the show grew and grew and grew and grew. You know? So that's how Thoughts of a Confused Black Man became, what it was.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, man. That was years ago, man.
You put a small Ghana flag somewhere on phone. Or they could tell you from Ghana.
Oh, yeah.
There's something about America, though. When a black man is doing well, they assume he's from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Did you get a little bit of that?
No, I know I was from Ghana. They're confused with Guyana. I'm saying Guyana. Okay. It's Ghana. So the acting thing started off then, I had a few good gigs.
That is something very interesting. Somebody saw you on a big TV show in America, Law and Order.
Yeah.
Also the Okoyede.
Coming from this same Thoughts of a Confused Black Man, I think somebody has spotted me and they were auditioning for Law and Order. And there was a part for a Nigerian in there. So he said, oh, I know this guy from Africa. All Africa be Africa. Wherever. So
a lot of them think Africa is a country,
Yes. So that person recommended me to the casting director that get in touch with this guy. He's quite good, to play the Nigerian, So I got a call from this casting people. I was shocked.
They called you?
They called me that they want me to come and audition. KKD, they were at least, for the role that I played in Efren Amoda, I would say not less than 200 black folks that were there. Some were Nigerians, we were about 200 people, but that small one part.
How many lines did you get in that production?
I should find that thing and bring you. It was like maybe 6 lines.
But that is how seriously people take acting in that part of the world. Because
and the people that I played with, I'm sorry, my memory is all gone. Very good notable actors in the US, in Law and Order, and things. So I auditioned and they said, oh, wow, that was a very nice one, And that's all they say. They don't give you any clue.
No.
But then I came home a day later. I got a call back. So I should come back. So I went back, and then this time they let me read with different actors and different Nema. I auditioned.
Let me
call my name.
Then you end it all.
Yeah.
But you understood that process because you had the education.
Yes. Okay. So again, I went and auditioned, And the third call I got was that, Charlie, we are giving you a party. Say, in law and freaking order.
The whole America is going to see you.
Yeah.
Also, it's a syndicated show.
Very, very syndicated, you know. This was in 80-something. But yeah, but I got it.
Where is that?
My see much. You see much. So I got the part, and then apart from that, I did many theatrical performances, because from there, then Joe Papp in the Public, there's a theater in New York called the Public. I did something for Joe Papp at the Public that was called Better on a Rag, you know. Then I was rubbing shoulders with big leagues, you know. Lord Richards is now dead. He was one of the foremost. He used to head the Yale drama repertory. Whoa. You know, he would come to Hartford from New Haven to come and watch me perform. Things like that, you know. It started really, really cool, you know. And I'm saying, Charlie, I think I've arrived, you know. Let me go back to the motherland. Ghana, it was on my mind,
but
though.
You talk a lot about the fact that you always were homesick. What was it about Ghana that made you homesick?
It's funny, because here I was, you know, in America, they had all the things we don't have then, you know, highways, 6 lanes here, 6 lanes there, and everything. But at the end of everything, when I come home for a summer or something, I just like, wow, I don't care, I'm loving this place, you know. These are my people, man. Yes! You know, I just realized you can take me out of Ghana, but you can't take the Ghana out of me.
I mean, see, I love you, warts and all.
And all, Charlie. You know. So eventually it got to a stage. Well, I did my undergraduate with film and TV. Then I went to NYU, undergraduate in theater.
Yeah.
Then I went to NYU to do masters in film and everything. You know. And then I worked for a while. You know. I'm blessed to have worked with some very good notables. You know, Gil Noble. Gil Noble was one of the seasoned African-American documentarists. You know, he gave me my first writing job to write a screenplay on Adam Clayton Powell, who was the first black congressman.
Yep.
He gave me the script, the contract to do this first draft of that screenplay.
At the time, how would you consider your language skills?
My language skills? The language skills, I never sounded like an American, but fluent English, I think.
And writing.
And writing, yeah.
Writing, yeah.
Yeah.
Now what?
I gave him a copy of a script that I had done, and that's what he saw, and then he said they should commission me to do the Adam Clayton Powell, the first draft.
Fantastic.
And that was the first time I got a check in the U.S. That was about me, Mosua.
And no, I said, Obaba Ghana.
Was it?
So I checked him, I said, Papa Sabo.
You know, so I was exposed to some very, very good players in the industry, you know, and things, you know. But like you're saying, after everything, I thought, whatever I've learned, whatever I am, what I have to offer, be more beneficial to Ghana than the U.S. In the U.S., I was 1 out of millions. In Ghana, I'll be 1 out of maybe 3 or less. No, I just really thought
their population is bigger.
Yes, I just thought there was so much we could do. When I came to Ghana, the first place I went to was NAFTI, and I offered them. I said, I want to teach here. Don't pay me.
Don't pay me. I know what I'm saying.
If you mean, if you don't from China, if you are from Yemen, you say I want to come and teach screenwriting. I want to teach everything I've learned. I want. You feel me?
Go on, Chester.
You feel me? So I can't from them, no, but unfortunately, I chill. This is me by, you know.
But there were
talking
some
30
good
years
people
ago,
there, no doubt about it.
Fantastic
but
people.
You have somebody who's trained elsewhere.
Yeah.
Even if you want to use them in the beginning as a TA, do it.
I wouldn't mind. I just wanted to teach. You know?
And I'm telling you, today, as we speak, there are Ghanaians who want to come home to do something. And there are Ghanaians who are seated in places where they become gatekeepers, who are making sure that sensible people will not get a chance to do anything.
Yeah.
And we must name and shame them. Name and shame them.
Yeah.
Because we will not let one person stop this country from getting better.
Yeah. You know, you're very right.
So when you got home to Ghana, did you come on Ghana Airways?
No, Panam. Panam was in business then. Do you remember Panam?
Of course, Panam. Wow.
I came on Panam. Yeah, I came on Panam. I flew on Ghana Airways going, and when I was coming, I came back on Panam.
Why didn't you buy a Ghana Airways ticket?
When I was coming,
Ghana Airways for.
Never, minimum. Dear mama, fried Panam, but my Ghana Airways are mine.
Now when check your brand, you know.
Oh, I don't know what happened though, but I just realized I came on. Remember, I sent me the permanent buyer.
So you land at Kotoka. What's the first thought on your mind? The air was not that hot like it is today.
Yeah.
But well, did you come in summer? Did you come? What time did you come?
I came in Ghana. It was January. I got here January 6, 1980. Sorry. Hey, me kaita my bag now. But it was January 16th, that much I remember. And I think it was in...
No, so it was quite cold in America still.
Yeah.
It would do Ghana and heat and sheer on how did you feel?
Yeah. But you know, the thing is, I came to Ghana on a one-way ticket.
You knew you were not going back?
Maybe I'll go back and visit Mami Kofi. You know. And I described my arrival as crash landing. Because I was with people there before they came back, they had their cars, they had their fridge, their washing machine, all kinds of things. I didn't have any such thing.
Why?
That's a whole story. We won't get into that.
Okay.
But I described my coming back as crash landing. Bim, Maba, now make it work. You're not going back. You got heights, Bio. You know, sometimes me baffles and see actually come to Caribbean.
Did you come under duress? We will not go into the full story, but did you come under duress?
Yeah. There were certain things that I just decided, no. If I stay here, they will just compound things. So, Kofi, you know.
A new start.
Yeah. So I crash landed, and one way here, and I say, Minkobio, it must work. And the rest is history. I
work it. Ghana, I say, I'm kind of different. I'm kind of apiki.
Yeah, but it wasn't easy. We are talking years now. Years.
On Master of the Game, my special guest is KSM, Kwaku Sintim-Misa, a great writer, producer, director, and actor who has staged over 15 one-man plays at the National Theatre of Ghana. And boy, has he revived theatre in Ghana, opened a new avenue for so many to benefit. And theatre is going to grow because we can teach our children more through film and theatre than we can in the lecture halls with books and intellectual presentations. There's more to talk about. Now we're going to get into when he got to Ghana. What did he do? When we come back right after this.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernat Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernat, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernat Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303 966 085 or 055 278 4097. Think wood, think Fernat.
Master of the game on Good Friday in Ghana, our beloved motherland.
Yep.
I promise on my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my motherland. Do you remember that? We used to say that when we were younger.
Yeah, we used to say
I pledge myself to the
service
service of Ghana
with all
my strength and with all my heart. I promise to hold in high esteem our heritage, won for us through the blood and toil of our fathers. And I pledge myself in all things to uphold and defend the good name of Ghana. So help me God.
Fantastic.
We continue to serve this beautiful motherland of ours in every way we can. We all come with different talents. We all come with different abilities. But if every one of us, Ghanaian, at home or abroad, determines to contribute to the growth of this nation will truly be great and strong. Thank you for coming back home after learning. And thank you for investing your energy, your time, your knowledge, and more importantly, your wisdom to resuscitate at the time what is called a dying industry. But when you came, you didn't go straight into show production. Where did you go?
When I came, the only thing that was immediately available in terms of finding work was radio. I think private radio was just about picking up then.
That's right.
You know, Joy FM had broken the thing, and then other stations were coming up, you know. And I remember, KKD, when I was in New York, there was this talk program on WLIB. And there was a talk show. And I loved it. I was always glued to listening to the talk show because the presenters were so fun to listen to, you know. I remember the name Gary Bird, and I remember the name Gary Bird and Umotep, you know. So anyway, I was just a fan of talk radio in the US, you know. So when I came to Ghana and radio was just starting, and I said, this is something I can do.
Yeah.
You know? So somebody hinted to me that there was a station, news station coming up called Vibe FM, and they're looking for, I think he said presenters then, you know. And I said, well, I don't want to be a presenter, you know, but I can do a talk show.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been listening to talk shows like 3 years every day. Let me take talk show.
And that's a learning experience.
That's learning.
That's a learning experience.
That's all I knew.
I keep telling people.
So this guy talked about, Michael Cook.
Yeah.
I went to the Trust Towers.
Yep.
I went up there and I just said, I want to meet the owner. I didn't go with any appointment. So Michael Cook came and I said, oh, yeah, I've heard that they are looking for radio presenters and I could do a talk show.
Which was not something in their format at the time. Because it was more of a very urban music station.
Yep, it was a completely urban music station. So Mike asked me, what kind of talk show? Then I told him, oh, politics, social commentary, whatever, I can do it. So he asked me, have I done it before? And KKD and to all of Ghana, I lied. I said, me? New York. I'm here talk show in New York, man.
Yes, Ghana for CV. 50% here trunk. I am back.
Maybe that. Me radio that in my life. Mike said, what? I said, wow. He was very, very interested. So Mike asked me a question about what is my general impression of talk radio or talk shows. And I'm saying, for me, I go with the policy that there's nothing like a dull topic. They can only be dull presenters.
True that.
And True Mike tells me years after, was that how you got the job?
Not true that.
Yes. You know? So he said, oh, wow. So you award him. And he says, okay, so we're going to get you on radio.
Have we got the recording of your first show?
Oh, my God.
I hope they kept it. We should auction this on eBay.
And I remember exactly what I talked about on my first show.
What was it?
I talked about the political history of Ghana. But I did it almost like in a comical thing. Like, Nkrumah gave us independence. And we were under the independence. Then Ghana say, oh, you have independence. It's a celebration. So the NLC came and overthrew Kwame Nkrumah. They say you are tired of the independence.
That was National Liberation Council.
Yeah, the National Liberation Council.
So you actually scripted
using
your script writing skills from university.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
And then it's celebration. I say, you see a bread. School. And here, say what they are pono by making it relevant to where you are. Where you now, if I upon the D21 one connected to
forget it.
So that was my first talk show. I did the political history of Ghana, and I was making it comical. There, something very, very funny, and it just blew up Ghana like that.
That's
the first
right.
show.
That's right.
And I was on Tuesdays.
And back then, somebody would listen, and then he would call another person. He says, look, there's this guy on radio. Because that's how I found you.
Yeah, I see.
Somebody called me and said, look, there's this guy on radio. You must hear him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I found you.
Bob White tells me he was doing sales for a car company then.
Yeah.
So he scheduled his sales for Tuesday morning. He said he had some sales appointments from 10 to 12 so that he could be in his car and just listen to my show.
That's right. So he got inspiration from you.
Yeah. So talk show just blew up like that, So that's how I came, I started from radio. And then while I was doing radio, my wife came and started teasing me that you went to NYU, you went to then you have script writing, whatever. You have left all your theater, you don't remember anything. You have become a radio man.
Say her name.
Mavis. Mavis is my wife. her maiden name is Mavis Ampa, but the married name is Mavis Sintim-Misa.
Mavis, that's it. Sometimes you need a partner who loves you, to challenge you.
To challenge me.
Because if you didn't challenge him,
you'd
be very happy on radio. He'd be comfortable. He might even do television. But he would never use all the drama in him to create the stage plays. So continue with that story.
So she challenged me and I said, what? You think if I sit down I can't write a play? So you have forgotten all of it. I'm saying, okay, let's bet. I'll write a play and show you. So that's what actually inspired the saga of the returnee.
Wow.
I was just proving a point to my wife. Say me, I still got it, man. So I wrote the saga of the returnee. And I thought
did you give it a name? Did you title it before you wrote it? Because sometimes in the writing process, sometimes we finish writing
and then
before
we
give
the
it a title.
Yeah.
Well, how did you go about it?
I just knew I can. The easiest thing that can come to mind was my experience after being in America, what I went through, and coming to Ghana and what I'm going through. What if I develop a character that has been through that gamut? So
it was loosely based on you. Yeah. But you also chose certain other characters to enrich it. I just made it
creative. I talked about my father was in the show, and I created a character that was not really my father.
Of course.
But I created a character that was my mother. I created a character that was my brother, and I created the whole thing, the saga of the returnee.
So your character development studies came in very handy.
Very, very, very handy. How to develop a character.
I want to understand what were the quirks that you created for this character, who was the returnee.
The returnee was a very vibrant and very, very, very pessimistic person.
Pessimistic?
It was the returnee on stage was like, this won't work. Everything was like kind of negative, And I created my father, who was like supposed to be a politician, and all he could do was speak big, big English. That was not my father at all. And I created the character, my mother. Somebody was always very, very, very wild on us.
The father speaking big English brings another Ghanaian production to mind. You remember Heritage Africa?
Yes.
Quincy Arthur Bosomfield.
Bosomfield You know? You want to interview? Have you got him on?
What?
Kwanzaa?
I'm definitely going to bring him.
Fantastic.
In his case, I would like to go home and sit with him. You know, my master's dissertation in film and television was written on Kwanzaa.
Wow.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I was talking about heritage and culture, you know, the power of our rhetoric and our
Have you been to his museum?
Yes, of course. Bisabrewa.
Bisabrewa, of course, you would.
Of course. I consider myself one of Kwanzaa's children.
Fantastic.
You know, most of the things I learned in advertising, I learned from him.
Oh, okay.
Nobody knows how to write an invoice to bill a client better than Kwanzaa.
Wow.
Or try invoice, I want to be in charge of you. Hey, or try over here. Fantastic man.
Wow.
And you know, I love the way that he actually embedded our culture and heritage even in his advertising productions. You know, I just love that about Kwanzaa. He's one of the people I consider also a national treasure.
Yeah, he is.
Great man.
He is.
Great man.
He is.
So you've created these characters. Now, how do you fill the script?
The story, I had to come up with the story of this guy who went to the States and wanted to come back home, and then coming home and realizing that he was almost like an alien, you know. And this character, for example, talked about how he used to make appointments and go for interviews, and they'll tell him, come at 1 o'clock, and he had to be there by 1:45 so he can sit down and prepare for the interview. And then he comes to Ghana, and somebody will give him an appointment, come at 2, and they get to the office.
They said 2, 3, 4. They didn't say 2. You remember that?
What time should I come? So 3:34. But your time, remember?
It still goes on.
Yes. If you want me to come at 3, tell me 3.
How many years after, you know, the returnee story?
Yes.
The saga of the returnee.
Yes.
And we're still doing the same.
Oh, yeah, 3:34. Somebody told me one time, in between 3. I don't know. Up to now. I don't know what in between 3 means.
Hey.
You know.
We are special.
Hey, 5 that way. Nearly that way. I don't know. 5 that way. So anyway, this was the script, you know, of coming to Ghana and things that I realized I had to deal with.
The opening line?
My opening line.
Oh, I check, but with the overcut.
If I sit down, I remember the whole script.
You're joking?
Yeah, I remember the whole script.
Oh, can we partner you to stage the saga of the returnee?
I think we should. I mean, the funny thing is that it's probably going to be like the 28th anniversary or something.
We can.
And I can stage the same show and it will still apply.
But when it's a show, so I say update because
yes,
there are new stories.
Plenty new stories.
The greed in Ghana today are astronomical levels. Not only the greed, the selfishness, but at the very base, the abject stupidity of people who want to make money at the expense of everybody else, who want to poison the water we drink at the expense of everybody else because they can import water.
Yes.
And those people who get a little chance to be in power and forget how fragile we all are. And see, Saga of the Returnee reloaded.
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 Because it's still the same.
Only this time
gotten
around,
worse.
This time around, at least, I'll be doing the light.
I won't die and switch on the light myself. Okay, Kenny, that's so funny. This is a very light.
Very light. The first time I don't know, a director, I'm supposed to be a friend. Maybe about you know, we can call a few people.
Yeah.
You know.
So that was the saga of the returnee, man. Courtesy my wife daring me that I can't do.
Was she in the front row?
Yes, she was.
Then when you delivered,
she was so
happy.
And
that night you got a standing ovation.
Yes.
How did she feel?
She was so
Did you
happy.
thumb your nose at her?
No, I appreciate that she really dared me.
That she dared you?
Yes.
Or did you go and thank her?
I still thank her.
Fantastic.
You know, I still thank her. And she's a funny woman, you know. So sometimes I'm writing and she says, oh, but this one, if you can be funny this way. So I rely on her for the funny antics. Sometimes,
fantastic.
Baby, even funny, and then she'll come and throw something very casual. You know, I cannot call. You see, you don't know how much I'm going to use this thing, man. Of late, she said I should give her a writing credit. You know,
have a family of 5 children.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's 2 from you and 3 from her.
Yeah.
And you've put them all together.
All together.
Fantastic.
One big happy family. You never know which ones are from me and which ones are from her.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall to see your arguments at home.
Well, I guess when you age, you don't argue anymore.
No?
You know what you think, You get disagreements here and there. But the kind of arguments we used to have, no, not anymore.
So for those who are yet to marry, they must understand that it gets better?
Oh, it does. It does.
Does it get better because you're tired, or it gets better because there are no problems?
No. If you're tired, it won't get better, honestly. The problems will always be there, but you have to find a more mature way of dealing with the problems, to the point that the problems don't become problems anymore. So when we are bar, you can just treat it the way it should be treated and not magnify it into something big. Can't afford 10. They say, now they can't offer the World Cup. That's Ghanaian. Oh, now you can't offer the World Cup. You know, when you get married for a long time, you realize that not everything gets to the level of a World Cup.
But that's because you make a decision that you want to stay together.
Yes.
And I think that's the decision that a lot of people have not yet made.
Yes, you have to make the decision.
They're still testing. There's a story of this lady whose father calls her boyfriend, or I don't know whether to call him the partner, because the lady is pregnant with a 4th child now. Well, child not yet delivered, but 4th child, because they've had 3. And calls the man and says, na me ba you want not to nache. Oba worry not be worry ni jani out just you open you made testing the mission. Now for so for we answer. You think some people are just not cut for marriage?
I guess so.
What could it be?
They say marriage is an institution, and not everybody wants to be institutionalized. So maybe that's it. You know,
there's another one. I say, marriage is an institution. And I say, love is blind. And I say, when you're truly in love, it's good to marry. Therefore, marriage is an institution for the blind.
I like that logic.
Because we need to do it.
Oh, yes.
What do you love most about marriage?
Sorry?
What do you love most about marriage?
The support, the understanding, you know. And I guess when it's not there, then there's no marriage. If you have a marriage and there's no support system for each other, if you are being drained by your partner, why are you staying in it?
And you say drained.
Drained, say everything is like a worry. Everything takes away from you. You want to do this, but why this, why that? Either way, you know, you don't have the freedom to mature, to grow, to become yourself. It's like they have become a stumbling block to your progress. That's the marriage that drains.
And there's a lot of criticism in marriage, isn't there? How do you take criticism?
How do I take criticism in marriage? I guess, like you said, it gets to a point where you get used to it, you know, and so it's like, won't find your World Cup, you know.
My mother, or her mama, Kwasi Kyei Darkwah, says it very nicely. They say, I told you, I saw this, you know, we know now you come.
What did they?
We didn't see you know.
No, you come.
No, you come. They say, Bibia Bebako.
Yeah.
You know,
that's deep.
But looking back and now looking forward, what do you think marriage is? A necessity? A luxury? Just another comfort?
I think marriage has a purpose. And when the purpose is fulfilled, the marriage becomes beneficial to those involved. When the purpose is not fulfilled, I don't think you should stay in when it is not fulfilling you. If it's taking away from you. You know how simple, you see, whatever is an asset gives you things. You benefit from the asset. Whatever is a liability, things are taken away from you. If your marriage is a liability, and every day you're going through stuff that is draining you, taking stuff out, taking your career out, taking your talent, it's not an asset where you are benefiting from, then I'm sorry, I think you made a mistake. You don't have to be in a marriage that is a liability for you. You don't have to.
I'm drawing your mind on this because as a performer and as an artist and as a writer, you consider the thoughts of many in crafting whatever it is you do. Do you think people marry for particular reasons based on their age or the stage they are in life?
People, I think the basic understanding of marriage is me peno. You know, whatever that means. I'm in love with him or her, and I think we will jive. So,
but that's not enough.
That's not enough. Or this is somebody you're going to spend the rest of your life with if things go well. Can you imagine you're going to wake up every day to this face? This is something you're going to be dealing with forever.
The face is what you see, but also wake up every day to this spirit.
Yeah.
Because some spirits irritate you.
Yeah. When you're not for no reason, you know.
What's what about say, hey,
you know. So that's what I'm talking about. You don't have to stay in a marriage that gives you that vibe. You wake up to anger, you wake up to misery. Well, you're just in a very toxic situation, driving your blood pressure up, you're going to get all kinds of ailments, you know. What for? You know. Sometimes it turns into something that's just convenient. So for convenience, you have to close your eyes and everything and stay in. But I think even when you get to the point where it's just for convenience, at least find something that you can do that can bring some satisfaction to you.
Your thoughts on relationship must be converted into a play, don't you think? Or you think that's an area you want to leave for Uncle Ebo White?
I think so. I can't compete. I think so. I can't compete.
I want us to come to your next play because now you've become the bastion of plays in Ghana. There's a whole national theater which had now become a place for music concerts, and dramatists were not doing really much there. In fact, you could tell how many plays had been staged there since I was the first person to fill that building to capacity. Yeah. When it was built, I mean, it was never filled to capacity until I had a big show there and filled it to capacity, and then we saw, oh wow, this has potential. So now you've decided, I am going to go on this journey of plays. What was the next one?
What was?
Your next play.
My next play, as we're speaking.
After Saga?
Oh, after Saga? Ooh, after Saga was Mellow Madness. No,
Mellow Madness was
Politically Incorrect.
Political Incorrectness.
Politically Incorrect. That was my second play, which was also a big hit. And I think mainly because, surprisingly, Rollins and Nanadu Kunadu showed up for that show. I was backstage when they told me, Jale, Rollins is here.
And there was some satire directed at the former president.
So much of it. So much of it. And the thing is, he laughed throughout.
He had a sense
of humor. Even the things, the shot that was taken directly after him. I was monitoring him to see how far I can go, you know. So I said it gently, a little jab here, then he will laugh, a little jab there, then he will laugh. And the more I punched, the more he's laughing. This man can take it. So I went all out, you know. So that was the second one, Politically Incorrect, you know. Then came, I can't remember the order.
Yep.
Colonial Independence,
Colonial Independence.
Yeah, there's one.
How do you get that title? Colonial Independence.
Yeah, that was the history of Ghana, where I had all the pictures of all the presidents lined up on stage.
Yeah.
And I did the whole routine. I don't remember. But that was Colonial Independence, you know. Then there was Sergeant Lasisi.
Oh, Sergeant Lasisi, that's another one. Who did you craft that one on?
Lasisi. It's funny, when I was on radio on Vibe FM, I created this character for the morning show who did the weather, I think, and that was Lasisi. So I said, anyway, by the Lasisi, you know, for the weather, then this character will take over and do the weather, and people love that character, you know. And I called the character Sergeant Lasisi. I said he was in the army. He's now doing weather. So that was the character. I said, why don't I just develop this character and put him on stage?
How long was that performance?
The performance? About 1.5 hours.
Wow. You had enough material
Yeah.
for that weatherman.
Yeah. For the weather, a soldier man, now a weatherman, you know. So it was his soldier life and the weather thing. Yeah. So I did Lasisi.
I'm interested in the synopsis for that. For that play. Tell me if you remember.
If I remember.
Because I'm wondering how you can tell the story of this soldier, a sergeant, for 1.5 hours.
1.5 hours.
And keep people captivated.
Well, because I talk about the soldier man, I will talk about his wife and some problems he has with the wife, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and by the way, go to this. And so I just combine so many things and throw them together. And, you know, just the people just laugh and laugh and laugh, you know, at the crazy soldier man and what he goes through during the day, you know. So, then there was Efiasribo.
Efiasribo is one of your biggest.
The biggest, actually.
So who dressed you up?
Efiasribo dressed me up.
Who dressed you up for Efiasribo? Who dressed you up?
I have a cousin.
Is that you really?
That's me.
Hey.
That's Efiasribo.
Wario.
That's Efiasribo. And Efiasribo was the only show I did. And you know how back in the day, you don't buy your phone, your tickets with the phone. You go to the location, Kuala,
exactly.
the name where you can buy your ticket.
That's right.
I'll be there and I'll get a call from Kuala. Actually, we have run out of tickets. So, hey, really? Then let me check with this place. Oh, we have run out. Efiasribo used to run out a week before the show.
That's right.
So Efiasribo was my biggest hit.
That's
so
right.
Maybe I'll bring back Efiasribo and do maybe Efiad menopause, something. I'll bring in Efiasribo too.
Oh my God!
To see Efiad menopause, something.
Can you play maybe a minute of Efiasribo? Something you remember, please.
I'm sure that I really,
if you don't mind,
try to. I could, but
But you know, people are coming to see you tomorrow at the Kempinski. Are you aware?
Very, very much aware.
Are you aware we are coming to see you tomorrow at the Kempinski?
I'm looking forward. I want to come out and I'll see KKD sitting out there. And I have things I'll say, but I won't tell you here.
Mr. Vito suit be suit me.
Yeah, and that place called, I can't say the full title.
No, you can say the title.
I can say the title.
Yeah.
Old Age is a Bitch.
It's a B with an H.
Oh, the B with an H. Oh, much better. Oh.
Old age is a bitch.
It's a B with an H. Yeah.
I say in the promo. I said old age is a B with an H.
That's right. That's right. You're very creative. You're
I'm trying to be like you.
I think I'm going to start doing that. Old age is a B with an H.
That's a B now. No, I was thinking of who.
Oh, thinking of who. So H count.
No, just say you know.
And this is like a real comeback show because after the cancer started, the prostate started and everything, I went down quite, you know. Not that I've stopped theater, but...
How can people get tickets? Can they buy directly at Movenpick or everything is online? There's everything online for... Yeah, I'm paying for no.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a Generation X. I want to pay cash and take a ticket.
Take a ticket.
Let's buy online.
But I'll look for Talal's number.
You know, because... I know I'm going to see Talal. I haven't seen him in a long while. I know I'm going to see my dear brother Fadi Hamwi. And a few of my old pals are going to be there.
Oh, fantastic.
Old age is a B with an H.
It's a B with an H. I like
as
that.
Well. So this is like a proper...
It's an event.
Easter celebration.
Yes, it's an Easter event. There's dinner.
There's fashion, there's music.
There's music. And then there's a little bit of comedy from my own son.
Comedy.
My own son, Lexi will be on board.
Performing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then the OG will come and top it all up, you know. But
and the dress code is just look good.
Just look good.
Yeah.
Just look good and come and laugh.
Kempinski Gold Coast City Hotel.
Kempinski Gold Coast City Hotel.
What time are we starting this?
I believe it's supposed to be 7.
7, wow.
Because there's a dinner buffet.
Yeah, arrival at 7. Meet and greet.
Yes, meet and greet.
Chat with old friends.
Yeah.
Gossip a little.
Yeah, then there's the music going through as people are eating, you know, and when everything's done, then old age is a B with an H. which
I really am looking forward to tomorrow's
yeah,
show. I
which
really
is
am.
like a comeback thing for me, you know.
For some of us, you never went away because
you.
we can
I hear
always
you.
we can always go online.
Yes.
And that's the great thing about the internet.
Yes.
You know, the internet never forgets. So those who put stuff out there on the internet, remember, put good stuff out there. If you put bad stuff out there, the internet never forgets.
Never.
But I am just so happy that I'm going to see you standing and delivering again. And that's the main reason I'm coming for this dinner. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good.
Yeah.
You know. And I want to talk about your TV career as well. So Ghana came to accept you as a radio personality and then now as a stage actor. But not a stage actor who is interacting with others. He's a stage actor who's playing all the roles himself. You are like a new Eddie Murphy from Coming to America.
Yeah.
And then now television came. What drove you into television?
I met with good old Talal, you know, and he was asking, he had started Metro then, you know, are there any programs I can think of, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I really remember way back then, before I even went to America, I was in love with the Mike Egan show. Welcome. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I love the Mike Egan show. I wouldn't miss it. I was in love with Mike Egan, you know. Then I went to the States and then I met all these late night shows back in the day, the Johnny Carsons, the Jelenos, and, you know. So when I was talking with...
Now, when you say those, then you have to throw in Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio Hall!
Arsenio!
Almost a crime for getting Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio, he was my man.
Yeah. You know, there's all these people. You know, so when I met with Talal and we started talking, and then I said, well, for TV, what I can think of is some kind of late night show on the model of the Arsenio Halls and things. And he said, oh, wow, that'd be great. And he also said, I've been thinking about something like that, you know. So we started talking. See, yeah, we can put it on Fridays. And he came up with the title. We can call it Thank God It's Friday.
That's it.
And I said, okay, let's do it. And that's it. And honestly, Thank God It's Friday, I think, arguably, was the most watched program on TV when it started.
Without a doubt. It was.
You know.
It was.
So that was something that Talal and I put together, you know. Even going on stage tomorrow, well, he told me, I want to do something, blah, 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 can you kick in something? Then I said, I've been thinking about old age is a B with an H for a long time. Maybe I can develop it for whatever you say you're doing. And so it's me and him coming back again. I
really look forward to tomorrow's performance. Old Age is a B with an H.
I like
at the
that.
Kempinski, Gold Coast City, 7 p.m. If you don't have a ticket, you can just drive there. I think they can also go to kempinski.com and get a ticket.
Or KSM Live.
Or ksmlive.com. ksmlive.com. And they can buy their tickets directly there.
Yeah, can buy your ticket from there.
I'm not somebody who likes to talk about the price of tickets. I like people to just go and inquire and know. It's always better. But it's dinner, music, fashion, and comedy and satire. You walk the fine line of comedy and satire. When you want to address very serious issues, where do you go towards?
When I want to address very, very serious issues, I use satire. You know, I exaggerate things and I talk about things and create laughter out of it, you know, but I think they're deep and punchy. So I use satire when I have to really push the buttons.
We normally have a video we play. My director chooses one random video and we play it. And then the guest reacts to the video. Are you ready to react to a video?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
To react?
You have to watch the video and tell us what you think about that video. You may agree with it, you may disagree with it, but we play the video, you listen to the thoughts in there, and then you add on or you just discuss it. Can we go to that? The video.
Trying to subvert our intelligence special branch officer. Bribe him so that the special branch officer will feed the CIA, because the CIA wants to know what's happening. I mean, subverting a Singapore officer. The man might have succeeded, but I'm proud to say that the officer offered large sum of money and continuing sums of money. This was in 1960. Refused and reported the matter to his chief, who reported it to me. And I told the American government, all right, we keep quiet, you take this man away. $100 million to the Singapore government for economic development. But through an intermediary, they offered me and my party $10 million. I mean, the insult. I told them to keep it.
Wow. Did you hear that? You heard the whole thing?
I heard as much as I should hear.
That's Lee Kuan Yew in
That's
the youthful days.
Yeah. And he considered an insult.
The leader of Singapore, considering it an insult.
To offer him money.
And somebody was trying to bribe him. What do you think of this?
I wish more, not just our leaders, but more of us as people will think like this, you know, and respect that our lives are more valuable than money. But it's so hard to get into the minds of people. So here you say, now it's kind of bad when you're there, you know. And I always tell people when I find myself in a situation like this, I say, I blame my father. They say, well, what does your father have to do with this? I said, he gave me this silly thing called conscience. And because of that conscience, I can't do many of these things that are being thrown at me.
That's your satirical self. You thank your father.
Yeah, I thank him. He gave me this annoying thing called conscience. Yeah, the conscience, yeah, then. Only the has a conscience. But unfortunately, yeah, dear mommy,
we will never get the chance to write our own epitaph, and if we did, we can't be sure that anybody will put it on our gravestones. But 200 years from now, when you're dead and gone, what would you like to be written about Kwaku Sintim-Misa?
This was a very ordinary Ghanaian who had extraordinary passion. And
a very ordinary Ghanaian,
yes,
who had extraordinary passion. I think people will add to this. This was a serious Ghanaian who made us laugh, but who made us think and realize our petit foible as well as our stupidity.
Say that again.
This was a serious Ghanaian who made us laugh, but who also made us realize our petit foible, our little errors, as well as our major stupidity. The work you've done for this country is fabulous, because for every work you've done, that anybody who is non-Ghanaian can watch and see you and think you have projected our motherland Ghana. And for that, I want to thank you. I really want to thank you.
Thank you too, KKD.
I love you, my brother.
I know.
I love you, my brother. I love you, my brother.
And I love you back, man.
You're a good man. You're a good man. Your kind word to the young in the creative enterprises. To the camera.
The show must go on. There are going to be so many reasons that are very, 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 how do you call it, important reasons that can convince you that it is not worth it. But trust me, it is. The show must go on. Keep your dedication, keep your focus, no matter what they say, because they will say it. But let it roll off your back and keep your eye on the prize. The show must go on.
Thank you very much. My special guest is Kwaku Sintim-Misa. The world calls him KSM. And he has spoken so beautifully on Master of the Game today. This is the best way I could wish you a good Friday and a very happy Easter. Now, to end it all, let me remind you, they tell everybody that it is lonely at the top. Don't listen to that nonsense. For those who treat others with humanity, with honesty and dignity, will always be in good company. See you at the top. The bottom is too crowded. Happy Easter.
Let's go back a little bit and examine some of the things. Few of the things that really interest me. One, the private media. No, the private media had a very strange relationship with us. Let me take you back, all right? Let me take you back to when Dr. J was president. Listen to this, we're going to last this thing. Let's go back a little bit when Dr. J was president. And you know, we had the private media, those that were for the NDC, those that were against the NDC, and how they report. So look at this story. Dr. J is cruising in a speedboat with his wife on the sea. They are going very fast, right? Zoo, za, zoo, za, you know, top speed. Check this out. Cruising at top speed, right? And as they're cruising, the wind is blowing harder and harder, and the wind just, another person to scarf. And it falls in the water, right? So Dr. J stops the speedboat, and check this out. Check this out. He stops the boat. He steps out onto the water. He steps onto the water. He walks on the water. He retrieves the scarf. Walks back to his dear wife. Honey, I'm bringing the scarf. Right? And gives the scarf back to his wife. The next day, let me have the newspapers report it. The paragraph, by headline, miracle. JJ walks on water. The preceding ad, Free Press Chronicle, Day of Shame. JJ cannot swim. Are we serious or are we serious? Right? But check this out, right? Look at it, the same scenario again. The same scenario, same papers. This, the one who walks on the water, is the then black bearer of MPP, the then Mr. Kufuor. He also walks, fetches the scarf, and brings it to Mother Teresa. However, arrogance. Kufuor imitates Christ. The same however which said Jesus was a miracle. Kufuor is arrogant. What about those who said day of shame? Command performance. Command performance. Kufuor defies gravity. Now, you tell me whether we can survive in a world like this, where truth is seen through party colors. Dr.
The discerning audience, the knowledgeable, the stylish, and the classy get together to enjoy Master of the Game. Master of the Game brings you distinguished personalities, leaders, achievers, captains of industry, innovators, masterful storytellers, creatives, and entertainers, all hosted by a Master of the Game.
His Royal Blackness, KKD,
the finest.
Catch Master of the Game on CTV. Oh yes, not